All right. Good morning. This is April 27th on a Tuesday. Almost done with this month and almost done with this class. So we're starting chapter 14. Um, Next week we'll do 15 and then we're done, except for the exam, which will be on chapter 14. I'm at chapter 15. So you've got two chapters to go. So don't lose your energy. Now, these chapters I will offer to you, they're probably not very interesting to you because they're of older age. And those of us who are of older age don't like these chapters because they talk about all the failings and the things, the bad things that we have to, you can't even say look forward to, but that we're going to be made aware of, that our life is going to get worse as we get older. And that is true if we keep our health, which is the main thing, um, then we will do better. And in this chapter, the author gives us some ideas about how to keep your health and how to keep active. And it's a same story you've heard before. So let's get on with it. I've got two videos I want to show you, but I'm having trouble loading them. So we'll try. They are on Blackboard. One of them is something you may have seen or heard before. It is a graduation speech by Denzel Washington. And since we are in the April and soon into May, uh, this is graduation time. So rather than try to get you motivated to find out what people over 65, 65 and older are dealing with, I've got Denzel Washington to tell you what you might need to hear at a younger age, at your age. Some of you might be graduating, and others are going to be transferring and whatever. But it's not too early to hear his um, delightful discussion about life experience, which of course is going to be more interesting than how to deal with 70 and 80-year olds. And then the other one is a little surprise. So let's see if I can get that one fired up and for able for you to be able to view it this morning. So regardless, both the videos are on Blackboard. I would strongly recommend that you view them. Okay, the physical challenges of old age. So obviously, this is not a fun chapter. She starts off talking about unsuccessful aging, describing what goes on physically wrong during the old years. And like I said, we've already talked about this. The major contributors to old age problems, which some of us suffer from, being overweight and having other uh, problems that are associated with age, like arthritis, osteoarthritis. Um, so I just look at all the things that I have. I can just list them. Diabetes. Fortunately, I don't smoke, so I don't have that issue. Um, but successful aging means drawing on what gives your life meaning to live fully, no matter how your body behaves. So she approaches it like, well, your life is not really dependent on your bodily function. You should approach life with a mental attitude of, like she mentions, this Jules person that she's talked about on several several chapters. And if you're dedicated to doing something with your life and you continue doing it regardless of what your age is, and if you have physical limitations and you have to accommodate those limitations but still go on with your activities. The way elderly people function depends on their personal capacities combined, which would be, your nature or your bio side of biopsychosocial, combined with nurture, which would be your social and your psychological, having the right person and in a environmental fit. So you're in the right place at the right time kind of situation. There's a term called ADL, which stands for activities of daily living. And there are two types of ADL. There's instrumental ADL, which refer to problems performing tasks for living independently, such as cooking and cleaning. And then there are more serious ADLs, which is called basic ADL, not because it's less problems, but it's problems in basic areas like self care, taking showers, cleaning yourself, standing or getting into the bathroom and feeding yourself. When people have these kinds of basic ADL limitations, then they've got to be in a assisted living care situation because they can't take care of themselves, and it's a dangerous time. So, not very exciting, delighting subject matter when you're talking about people not being able to take care of themselves and having to have somebody care for them. And everybody wants to be independent. Nobody really wants to be dependent on somebody else, especially when it comes to basic things like taking a shower, um, those kinds of things where you actually have to have somebody help you because you don't have your physical limitations are the basic ADL are affecting you in such a way that you can't even do that. And of course, that means somebody's cooking for you, somebody's if you need to go anywhere, like to a doctor or something, somebody's got to take you. So you're in a situation where you really are dependent on others. And that can be pretty crushing to your ego. Um, and if you are living in an assisted home, it's a little bit easier, but sometimes people have um, visiting nurses or visiting helpers to come to their house, but they got to be there like all the time. Um, so most of the time, people go into assisted living where they change shifts and there's somebody there 24/7 to take care of you if you have problems. Not to mention that by that age, you may be on several different medications, and somebody's got to supervise you taking your medicine so you take the right ones at the right time, and that's pretty important as well. Then she gets into this socioeconomic health gap, which I guess is it's a reality that those who have more money seem to fare better in the older age category. And why is that? Because they have enough money to pay somebody to watch them 24/7 in their own home. So if you're not in a financial situation where you can pay somebody to take care of you, some people, of course, stay with their relatives. And but when we get into this old situation with basic ADL issues, that's a heavy commitment from a family um, situation, and it's going to involve more than one family member, and it's going to involve some intensive time. But that's what poorer people get because they don't have the option of paying for an assisted living uh, location. Between 2001 and 2014, life expectancy rose close to 3 years for the richest 5% in America, while barely budging the bottom 5%. So that's 13 years, 2001 to 2014. Those who are well to do added, um, extended their life expectancy, where those who are in the lower income did not. And why is that? Because of the same things we just talked about: nutrition, assistance with your medical issues, therapies, physical therapy, all these kinds of things that if you have money, you can pay for and get it. If you don't have money, you can't pay for it, you're not going to get it. Then she mentions the other obvious thing, which we talked about way back in chapter one or so, or maybe two. Yeah, it was in chapter two. Low birth weight, which is linked to poverty because, of course, mom wasn't taking the right, eating the right foods, and maybe not getting pre care, maternity care while she was pregnant, and ending up with low birth weight is epigenetically associated with premature heart disease and earlier death. Therefore, it's no wonder that childhood adversity, meaning real poverty, is linked to midlife ADL problems as well as premature death. So this problem didn't happen when you started getting older than 50 years old. The templates were formed at an earlier age, and then just like biopsychosocial, depending on what happens to you, you can tend to minimize these things that happen to you when you were in poverty if you get out of poverty. But many people who are in poverty stay in poverty for their whole life. So um, some of these things are set, um, the stage is set at an earlier age. Could be reversed, but it may not be reversed. By the way, here's a statistic that you've probably not known. In 2015, which was 6 years ago, for the first time in U.S. history, the life expectancy at birth declined. So, whatever the maximum life expectancy or the average uh, age of death actually went uh, backwards. Almost every decade or 5 years, whatever, we're always coming up with new medical interventions, new treatment interventions, maybe a greater awareness of nutrition and avoidance of comorbidities like uh, diabetes and high blood pressure, all those kinds of things that we're working on. We're getting better, and so our life expectancy is getting older and older, but not in 2015. Those people who were born then don't seem to uh, are not going to be looking at a life expectancy the same as people born before them. And that is something that's never happened. We always improve in our life expectancy, but because of the way they figure these things statistically, 2015, we took a step backwards. There is for those of you who are in the medical field, there is a concept which is proven. It's not a theory, it's truth. The very ending of your DNA molecules, at the very end, there um, of every molecule that you have, is the tail, which they call the telomeres. And the telomeres, because of replication, because we're always replacing our body cells, all our body cells are being replaced over time. And we do that through DNA replication. We Our old cells die. Just think of your skin, your old skin cells on your face die, and then they're replaced with new ones. And the way they're replaced is DNA creates more of them. And every time your basic DNA is replicating all of your cells in your body, the telomeres get a little tiny, teensy, little bitty way shorter. And those shorter telomeres are responsible for changes with age. For instance, since we're on the subject of skin, um, my skin is really nice because I take care of it. But let's take the skin on the back of my hand, which you can't really see real well, but it's certainly more wrinkly and less elastic than yours. You do this, you're probably going to get a different result than mine. That is because your skin cells, of course, are less elastic, less flexible. And if you've been around older people, you will see that the skin on the back of their hands really shows their age. And it's true. As far as your face goes, you can do like I do and a lot of other people do. You put on creams and lotions, and uh, after learning about how skin cancer occurs, maybe you have the common sense to use sunblock. The other day, I went to the junkyard with my mechanic and burned the hell out of myself because I couldn't find the sunblock. So for the skin, and I just went without it, and I didn't have my big brim hat on, so I burned the crap out of my neck bad. And that was like 2 weeks ago, and I still have problems with dead skin. Um, it's not a good thing to do, but um, I'll post a video. I thought of it when I was reading this morning in reviewing it. I should have done that, but uh, it talks about telomeres and how that whole action works. It will be of interest to those. Well, it should be of interest to all of you, but it won't be because you don't really care about how you're going to be 50 years from now. Um, but those of you who are in the medical field probably will care because not only do you want to take care of yourself, but you want to see understand the underlying reasons why your patients are having some of the problems that they do. And it all has to do with telomeres. So And we have the famous Hispanic paradox, the fact that despite being far more likely to live in poverty, recent US statistics showed that Latinos outlived whites by 2.6 years. And if you know a little bit about epigenetics, you understand why that occurs. Um, Maybe I'll post that video as well. And then she goes into why those of us need to wear reading glasses because our eyes are not as flexible. Our lens is not as flexible and accommodating inside of our eye, and they can get cloudy. You've heard the term cataracts. That's when your lens gets uh, pieces of material floating around in it. What used to be a clear lens is now a cloudy lens, and can also have little chunks of stuff floating around. And so eventually, people go in and have their eye opened and a new cataract put in. Sometimes they put in cadaver cataracts, actually, from obviously, cadaver would be a dead person. They take a person's cataract, a younger person, obviously, and put it in your eye, or they also have some, if I'm correct, they have some artificial cataracts that they can use. The other issue that she mentions, because it affects those of us who get older, are hearing issues, and that is another issue associated with aging and telomeres. So we just don't hear as well. Certainly, in certain areas of the bandwidth of speaking, we don't hear well. And then someone like me who spent 26 years in the military in a occupation of blowing things up, but even shooting weapons will do it. It doesn't have to be big explosions. I have significant hearing loss, and I do have hearing aids, but I don't even haven't even worn them. And since we went online, I don't wear them anymore. All I have to do is turn up the volume on my headphones, and I can hear you. But if I go back in the classroom, I'll probably have to wear them again. Um, One of the problems that are associated with older age is the ability to drive, because your eyes, of course, are um, getting less functional. Your hearing, which is important to driving as well. And something you may or may not know, since you're all young, is that driving at night requires more acuity than driving in the daytime. So there are older people who can manage driving in the daytime, but at night it's too compromised. At my age, I can see that I don't see as well as I used to at night. I don't see it as a prohibitive problem presently, but I can see how it could be. Um, Plus, there's with me the issue of diabetes, which the nature of how that disease works unfortunately has a negative effect on your sight, because the minor um, artery and vein system, um, those really small arteries and veins which are in your eyeball, um, can become dysfunctional because of the problems associated with diabetes. So there are problems that can occur, which would prevent you from driving in the future, which for me would be a major setback, because the lifestyle that I lead, I need to be able to drive. So um, it's a challenge. All right. Well, I'm going to try. Speaking of challenges, I'm going to try to um, get this system to play a video for me, and I hope I'm successful. And like I say, if I'm not, I'm just going to stop and refer you over to your Blackboard in the video section. So, yeah, this is not working. Hmm. Well, I was able to do it in a different way. Oh, there's one of them. All right, let's fire this one up. And since nobody's watching, I can't. I hope this you're going to be able to see this, but I won't be able to confirm it because no one is watching. But I'll try. It's worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. This is Denzel Washington on giving a graduation talk. Let me start at the beginning. I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living. Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on. But I never understood that concept. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Fall forward. This is what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. Now, I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it because it's inevitable. And I should know. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought. Except for the fact that I can't sing. So I'm in the wings. I'm about to go on stage, but the guy in front of me, he's singing like Pavarotti. He's just he's just going on and on and on, and I'm just shrinking. I'm getting smaller and smaller. So they say, "Oh, thank you very much, and you'll be hearing from us." So I come out with my little sheet music, and it was Just My Imagination by The Temptations. That's what I came up with. So I hand it to the accompanist, and she looks at it, and looks at me, looks out at the director, and is like,
So I start, I'm going to sing. And I'm not saying anything, so I'm thinking I'm getting better. So I start getting into it. Running. This all yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Washington. Thank you. So I assumed I didn't get the job. But the next part of the audition, he called me back. The next part of the audition is the acting part of the audition. Now I'm like, hey, okay, maybe I can't sing, but I know I can act. So they pair me with this guy, and again, I didn't know about musical theater. And musical theater is big, so they could reach everyone all the way in the back of the stadium. And I'm more from a realistic, naturalistic kind of acting where you actually talk to the person next to you. So I don't know what my line was. My line was, well, hand me the cup. And his line was, well, I will hand you the cup, my dear. The cup will be there to be handed to you. I said, okay. Well, should I give you the cup back? Oh, yes, you should give it back to me because you know that is my cup and it should be given back to me. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition and the next audition and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed and I prayed. But I continued to fail and fail. But it didn't matter because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. So someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. And I didn't have to sing, by the way. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? You've invested a lot in your education, and people have invested in you. And let me tell you, the world needs your talents, and does it ever. I just got back from Africa like 2 days ago, so if I'm rambling on, it's because I'm jet lagged. I just got back from South Africa. It's a beautiful country, but there are places there with terrible poverty that need help. And Africa is just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East needs your help. Japan needs your help. Alabama needs your help. Tennessee needs your help. Louisiana needs your help. Philadelphia needs your help. The world needs a lot, and we need it from you. We really do. We need it from you young people. I mean, I'm not speaking for the rest of us up here, but I know I'm getting a little grayer. We need it from you, the young people. So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. Because remember this, you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it, and all they got was robbed. So the question is, what are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors. Some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money. Some of you have patience. Some of you have kindness. Some of you have love. Some of you have the gift of long suffering, whatever it is, whatever your gift is. What are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called the cardiac, I still can't say it, cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it, I couldn't say it, I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. Yeah, down. I was a 1.8 GPA one semester, and the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror. And every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me. She was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. First of all, she said, "Somebody give me a piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper." She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." Now, mind you, I'm 20 years old. I'm flunked out of school. In fact, like a wise ass, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she's got something in that crystal ball about me getting back into school next fall. But maybe she was on to something, because later that summer, while working as a counselor at the YMCA camp in Connecticut, we put on a talent show for the campus. And after the show, another counselor came up to me and asked, "Have you ever thought about acting? You're good at that." So when I got back to Fordham that fall, I got in and I changed my major once again for the last time. And in the years that followed, just as that woman prophesied, I have traveled the world and I have spoken to millions of people through my movies. Millions who up till this day couldn't see me. Who up till this day I couldn't see while I was talking to them, and they couldn't see me. They could only see the movie. They couldn't see the real me. But I see you today, and I'm encouraged by what I see, and I'm strengthened by what I see, and I love what I see.
Okay. I'll save the other video for Thursday, but as I say, you can see both of them on uh, Blackboard because I posted them there. So again, a message to those of you who are behind on some of your exams. Still have a chance to make it up. It'll change your grade significantly. Those of you who don't, well, you'll know the difference in 2 weeks because you'll get your grades. So take care, and I'll see you Thursday, hopefully.